Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. Woohoo, party! Actually, it's kind of cool. I saw some old prop firm buddies crashed our site yesterday. I see Beamer USA is one of the guys that I used to trade with at Top Step. So welcome aboard. Great to see some old names I haven't seen in a long time. People that do join and maybe taking advantage of the 7-day trial, please understand that we're all about PMA and working together. 1+1 = 3, all that kind of stuff. So if people ask you your setup, don't be offended. It's just we all sort of try and share here at TRI, which is a little bit different than most of the internet that you see. But great to see a whole bunch of new faces and people I haven't seen in a long time. And of course, great to see all our OGs just kicking butt in the market. The trading setups I see just flying through the lounge. People taking advantage of the extreme volatility in the market. Really enjoying the experience here at TRI. So way to go, team. Really very pleased with what I'm seeing on the site. It is Thursday today, which means that everybody should get their talc out and make sure that they're all nice and well lubricated. I don't know. Lubricated the right word? I don't know. But
It's
anyway,
not the right word. It's not the right.
There's Julian. Julian's here this morning. How you doing this morning, sir?
I can't complain. I'm a little sleepy, but I'm ready to go. I'm pumped. I've got a lot of things to talk about, and a funny story for you guys about a freak event that happened to me in the market this week. So hopefully everybody will learn something today, and for when you guys get into options trading, you'll learn about something that only happens less than 1% of the time, I found. But when it happens, you will need extra baby powder for sure. And so I'll talk about that when I'm ready to go.
Okay. Good morning. Welcome. And of course, we couldn't have a daily brief without the bus driver himself. How you doing this morning, Alex?
Hey, sir. I'm pretty good.
Awesome.
How good are you?
Oh, very good. Thank you. Very good. So, obviously, I think Thomas's counsel earlier this week regarding just maybe cooling your jets through Fed announcements and all that kind of stuff, not a bad idea. And also, too, this is a bit of a funny week in the market in that we had ECB on Tuesday, Fed yesterday, Bank of England today, and we have a quadruple witching in the market tomorrow. So a lot of volatility. I don't know whether we can actually believe a lot that we're saying. And of course, for crypto, we've got a big sort of regulatory event coming down the pike tomorrow as well. So I'm almost suggesting to people, you know what, maybe let's just wait till Monday and let the dust settle here. I see that markets being just pushed all over the place. I suppose when Julian and I, what Julian gets into is options expiry pins and the maximum pain report. I put together a quick little chart showing just some absolutely insane option open interest in the market, so we can sort of detail what the options boys plan is here. But very, very skittish market right now. So be careful, everybody. Don't chase. Whatever you do, please don't chase. Work your bids at your levels. Follow your plan. Trade your setups. You know how the spiel goes. Before we release Julian, I'll just give you a quick update. I'm running the algo across a bunch of different markets now. Saw a whole bunch of fours print here overnight. Of course, we've had the Bitcoin algo signal working for a while now. It's already hit its 2-to-1 objective. So really nothing to do there, but just trail stops on remaining. It was interesting through that Fed window. We did have a couple 4 prints on the stock market. You can see it moving up. And actually the one that really caught my attention here today was the crude oil spat up an algo signal off a really pretty triple bottom breakout here. So that's just working away, doing its thing. I thought maybe we'd hit that 2-to-1 before the session is done. Who knows? We'll see how that goes. Long and short of it here, just set it and forget it, and we'll see whether that gets hit here through the day. Interesting to see, those people that are following the stock market Quite a few bottoms coming in on stocks. And in particular, the oil names are all just ratcheting up. And just an FYI, one of Zach's ideas from a while ago has come right back down to the bottom end of the range. Of course, got to find the damn symbol. I mean, this is one of Zach's ideas from back in the winter. His idea here, huge rally. It's come back down against the bottom end of the range. Look at the beautiful divergences coming in here. This one, unfortunately, didn't really set up very well for a trade for me. But this little one, SRCI, look at that pretty little bottom coming in. Beautiful divs. Nice Willie Stupid conditions. Might even get Davos firing here. So long and short of it here, just an FYI to the community. If this fires, I'll probably be going and picking up some stock here on that bad boy. All right, so just an update on what I was doing there as well too. I think I told you guys yesterday we had a really nice breakout on that Overstock. I think that's the name of the company, which in a weird sort of way is also a crypto proxy because they are so heavily involved in the crypto space. But again, you don't really ever want to chase these names. And I noticed here she's coming back down to earth. You can see the double bottom breakout that was registered yesterday. The options that I was talking to you guys about yesterday, I was willing to pay 50 cents for a January 2020 $20 call option because there's some cheeky little gaps up here that I think are a pretty good chance of getting filled. And if this thing goes to its 50% level, this silly option is going to be worth $8. But when I turned on my screen this morning, the goddamn option was offered at 95 cents. So there was no way I was going to pay that. But on this pullback here, you can see it's actually down 2% on the day. I might be able to get my fill there at 50 cents where I'm bidding. So I'll let you know whether I do any business there. Other than that, most of the other names that I have on the books are just sort of twiddling their thumbs. I noticed some of the high flyers of recent, like well, we don't necessarily need to get into it, but a lot of back and forth, nothing really, no new actual profit taking levels or anything coming in. Was there something else? There was something else I wanted to talk to you before I release Julian on you guys. Oh yeah, General Electric. I think Julian's, I don't know whether he's going to mention this, talk about it or not, but we did talk about this recently. Really pretty bullish bot setup coming in here. Now you can see the double bottoms firing. And we had actually a really good demonstration. And while Julian's talking about options, I'll go and find the chart of an in-the-money option trade to play this bullish bot so that, you could do it as sort of a synthetic position through the options market. I'm hearing lots of news that they General Electric Aviation landed some pretty big contracts at the Paris Air Show. So it doesn't surprise me that this thing's working its way higher, and you can see their respective levels. Probably pretty good shot that we're going to take a stab up into this area and fill in the profile, and then of course the bot rules take over with the trade. Okay, so I think that's about all I wanted to talk about. As I said, algos doing their thing, feeling uppy, but unfortunately with regard specifically to crypto, we got a big fundamental event going to hit the market tomorrow. I would think it might be an idea to let our jets cool, and let's see how altcoins act through this event tomorrow. Okay, Mr. Baby Powder, are you ready to rock this thing?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right.
I will put myself on mute. Waiting on you.
All right, I'll put myself on mute. You have the floor. Tell us what's on your mind today.
Okay, so as you guys know, I like to start with the S&P. Hopefully you can see it on the screen. No, we're not gonna go off the 5-minute here, although I'm just watching it because I think this gap's gonna get filled, and I was waiting for. I mean, we can, why don't I talk about it really quick, and let's see what happens in real time. So we had a breakdown here, and then we had this trend line here, a fake out here, and then a move lower. We might have a divergence building, so it could fill the gap and come right down to the Kellner channel, and then maybe we go back up here. That's kind of what I'm expecting to see. Let's see if that actually happens or not. I was thinking about doing a little trade based on that and with the options data I have, but I'm talking to you guys, so I'm not going to do a trade while I'm talking. Let's go to the daily. I'm still pissed about this V bottom here. I talked about this last week and how I was surprised we didn't get really any kind of retracement. I shouldn't be surprised at this point because this is what happened last time. I mean, we fell off a cliff and then we just V bottom recovered, like almost no pullbacks to get back in really at all. I mean, you had this mini pullback here, which I guess could have been your chance, but I was hoping for something where a retest of the bottom. Here you had even less of a pullback. It was just like boom, bottom of the Kellner channel, go up, really go up ridiculously fast in a week. Sit for a week and now go up again. So it's been for me a bit of a frustrating market to try to get into a position on, simply because of how fast it's moving and how we're not really getting any retracements. But you can see, when it broke out of my RSI here, it just took off. I don't have much on the daily to go off of. There hasn't been enough of a pullback that I can draw any kind of trend line even. The best I could draw is like this. And I don't really like how that looks. So that's kind of annoying. Let's look at the 4 hours, see if we can get any information from that. Come on, load. Okay. So again, I don't like how it looks. The best I could draw is something like that, but I don't feel comfortable about that. I would like to see something. I would have liked to have seen something more like this, where like hit here, we came down, and then we went back, and we came down, and we went up. Something like that. This is really weird what happened here, but you can see we hit like a TD9 on a 4 hour, and it just stopped. Like boom, stop. Top of the Kellner channel, 9, stop. Sit for a while, go higher. Maybe we'll even have an ABCD happening here. Let me go back to the daily. So you can see we had a 9 here, stopped a little bit, but more so the 9 off the 4 hours. I think that's more telling. Let's see if we can do like I don't want an array. How do I switch that? Right. Why is it not? Okay, there we go. So I think it would be something more like this almost. Possible. But again, we didn't get much of a pullback, so I don't know what the chances of this actually working would be. Is that correct? Yeah.
I don't know whether it's of any value, but lots of options, open interest up top here. So I could easily see them sort of just bump the market up top here, park it into that big quadruple witching, hit your objective there, and then roll it over. I wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Well, for me, I mean, if you want to talk about the options, there's a wall here at 290. I'm surprised it's actually above that at this point. It's around 294. I don't expect it to go above this. I expect it to pull back. I expect it to pull back, maybe 290. That's why I'm saying I'm looking for the gap fill. And then even a move down to 290, that would give them maximum value. So that's why I'm looking for a bit of a rollover here, or just a pullback, to just maximize the amount of money they receive. Even your QQ, if we go to the QQs too, it's the same, I think. Just to I didn't want to jump into this yet, but since you mentioned it, so QQ is at 187 right now, 187.84, and you can see that we're up here, 187.84. But if we just pull back to like 185, they maximize their value. Or wow, even here, look at all the calls here. Holy crap. They pull back to 180, they really make a lot of money. So 180 is down here.
I noticed that there's and remember, institutions write most of the puts, so there could be quite a bit of retail interest in those calls. But yeah, 180 strike on the QQQs, 186,000 contracts. That is just absolutely insane.
Yeah, and then 150,000 calls.
Yeah,
there's a lot of calls too.
I could see that, and actually it's interesting. I think that one of my old prop buddies there, he was actually, I think, fading the rally in the NASDAQ there this morning. So
yeah, that makes sense. That's what I would have done too. If I had caught it right at the open, I would have done the same. So I'm watching it. I did purchase before we started the show. I did put on a butterfly contract. I'm not going to go into the mechanics of that, but I did put one on. So I'm watching.
Sorry to derail you there. Didn't mean to interrupt. Please continue.
It's okay. It's okay. So I think in the next day, the options market's basically going to dictate what's going to happen over the next week. We're going to have to see what happens tomorrow. That's going to affect how the charts develop. Other than thinking, we're going to fill this gap, which, look at this. We already basically have, I said in the 5-minute chart, we were going to kind of fill the gap, and that's what I was looking for. So we've already come down here. We only got a little bit further to go, and we essentially fill the gap. So that was pretty easy trade. If somebody, I'm sure, like Brian said, if a pro trader saw this, you just probably would short it or fade it, as Brian says. It's generally a pretty reliable signal when that happens, especially if if I was looking at the 5-minute and I just drew this trend line, like, oh, okay, break down here. Okay, I can take a trade off the top of this level around here and then fade it. You could have even looked for something around here. It's a pretty easy trade, and then you just close it at the gap fill right here. Let's see. Okay. So I don't have any concrete trades, anything long term. I don't have really any good signals on the daily, but we are hitting this like top of the range here, all-time highs. So you have to be kind of cognizant of that and careful. We're not going to just break through this huge resistance level really easily without some kind of big event happening. We did have the Fed announcement, so I guess that could be considered kind of a big event. But I think what they said shouldn't have caused the market to do what it did. So that's interesting. Maybe everyone was expecting what the Fed was going to say, and even though the Fed said exactly what everybody was expecting, the market decided to do the opposite. Because if they did what everyone was expecting, then more people would make money, and that's normally not the way the market works. Usually, it takes the opposite trade of what most people are. It takes the opposite move. Sorry, I'm jumbling my words. It moves in the opposite direction from what most people are expecting it to go. And I see that time and time again. I used to follow like earnings reports for companies, and some kind of earnings report would come out and be amazing, and I would be like, okay, stock's gonna rally and go crazy, but it goes down instead. Like, God. So after that, I stopped kind of trading earnings because I realized that it's just a bunch of crap most of the time. And it doesn't matter how well you analyze the stocks. Usually, if you trade off fundamental events, you will more often than not get screwed. And that's why I don't really trade off fundamentals much, because I feel like I usually was screwed. Okay, I want to talk about a couple stocks, but before I get into that, I have something else for you to write down, Colleen. Funny story that happened to me today. Well, not today, this week. So somebody, I think it was David Davis. He was posting about this. I don't know if you guys have seen this one. It's a Beyond Meat. It's like a plant-based meat company. So they make meat that from plants, and they're like trying to sell it as burgers. And apparently, everybody thinks it's the next big thing. The stock opened at $46, and it went all the way up to almost 200. And it looks like a pretty juicy short to me right now. I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking at this right now, and I'm like, oh my god, want to go look at the options right now. You know what, Brian? Can you go while I'm talking about this? Can you go look at the options for this, for like, you know, and see what they look like for like at the 100 level? Because it looks like it's ready to break down. I mean, look at this divergence here in the MACD, divergence in RSI. It's basically breaking down on the trend line. I like everything I'm seeing for taking a short on this, and I bet, you know, if let's draw a fib, and then I'll launch into my story because it has to do with this crazy company and a trade that I took earlier in the week that scared the crap out of me because of something that happened that there's like less than 1% chance of it happening. So a 38.2 level is, well, let's reverse it because I want to see like where the reload zone is. Yeah. So you can see 0.618 reload zone is right at 105. That's where I would want to short it to. Yeah, that sounds about right, Colleen. Oh, Mike, I love this. I love this topic. Okay, so this is what happened to me last. What day was it? Was it Tuesday, Brian, or Wednesday when I was freaking out? I can't remember. I think it was Tuesday. I put a short on this, but I put it on in a very interesting way. I use something called a butterfly option contract. And to create a butterfly option contract, you have to have, let's see if I can like write this out for you guys on the screen. Can I make characters? Yeah, okay. You have to have you have to buy one option, sell two options, buy one more option. So you have to have a spread. So you have to have something like, for Beyond, I think for Beyond I did 120 negative, no, I did 125 negative, and when I say negative, it means I sold two options, negative 105, and then I bought 85. I bought an 85. And that would create, so I gotta buy two of these times two. I gotta buy one of these, so times one, and then times one. And that'll create what's called a butterfly contract. And the reason I did this is because I think because this stock just opened and it's highly volatile, there's a lot of premium built into this. And if you use a butterfly spread, that you can actually get butterfly spreads for cheaper when there's higher premium versus lower premium. And it removes that problem. The issue with butterfly spreads is you have to be correct not only about the timing. Like if I do a put here and the stock sits up here, I'm going to lose value over time. But with my butterfly spread, I'm not going to. However, if the stock drops quickly, the put's going to make a lot of money, but the butterfly spread's not. If I didn't pick the time frame correctly, usually for a short like this or something, I would pick like a month out. Like I'd give myself 4 weeks. And I would hope that it would take 2 or 3 weeks to work its way down. If it doesn't, I don't lose much value from the time premium, and I'll just kind of sell it. Maybe I'll lose a little bit, but it won't be a lot. But if it takes 2 to 3 weeks and then it gets down to this level, your profits can be enormous, and you don't have to worry about the whole premium issue. So this is something I wanted to talk about. Now, if you're going to do a butterfly trade in this direction, you should use puts. But I know from messing with and using butterfly trades forever, this is actually beyond level 3. But we don't even go over this kind of, this is complex options. We don't go over this in level 3. I'm just telling you guys just the background of it so you understand what happened to me, and because this can happen with spreads. So anytime you short something and then you buy something else, it creates something called a spread. And there's something crazy that happened to me that I want to talk about. Now, you can do these trades on the call side or the put side. Now, I did it on the call side, and oh God. So I should have done it only on the put side, but I did it on the call side because it doesn't make a difference. It really doesn't make a difference. Oh God, this chat is so distracting. I can't like talk while you guys are talking. Let me just focus and like I'm gonna cover it or something. So I did it on the call side thinking, okay, it doesn't make a difference. I've done it on the call or the put side, whatever. I'm just going to do it on the call side. And it turns out if you are short options, meaning that I sold someone else the options at any point in time, as long as that option's in the money, meaning that, so I sold these 205 options to someone else in the market. And then even though the market's up in the 160 area, which means that this 105 option is in the money. And that means that at any time, the person holding these two could exercise the contract. Now, this happens less than 1% of the time. Option contracts almost never get exercised unless, it's near expiration or at expiration. And these had over a month left of time. So I didn't expect that to happen. And then all of a sudden, I have a credit for 200 shares because one option is worth 100 shares in a company. I suddenly had a credit for 200 shares in this company, supposedly bought at 105 down here. And I'm like, oh my God. And then I still have these other two options open in long positions. And I had no idea that this could happen until I read about it. And so I have this account that suddenly says it has all this money in it. And I have to get out of this trade, or I'm going to get like a massive margin call and all these things are going to happen. And I thought my account was going to explode because to buy back those shares, I thought I would have to pay the current market price. Like basically it gave me a credit for 200 shares at 105, but the market's at 170. So I'm thinking, oh my God, I have to buy back 200 at 170 each. It was just a really crazy, really stressful thing that happened this weekend. I thought, oh my God, my account's blown up. I messed up. Everything's gone to hell. But that's not the case. I have these two other calls that I just had to contact the broker and I had to ask them to exercise these two to cancel out this one. So then I got out with, I think I lost like $20. It sucks that it happened because I would have made a little bit of a profit already. Because I opened it like when it was up here somewhere. I think it was like 172 or something, and now we're down at 166. So everything was closed out. My point is, to sum it up, is like if you ever do any kind of spread trading with options where you buy and sell something, keep in mind that the one you're selling, somebody else is buying that, and if it's in the money, that person can exercise that contract, and you'll get exercised on that side, and then the trade is kind of out of your control, and you have to kind of rely on work with the broker to get out of it and exercise your side. So, I really just wanted to explain that to you guys, just to give a little lesson on something that I dealt with in the complex options area. If anybody's not interested in it, just skip this part. I guess I should have said that at the beginning, but I wanted to share it because I was, for probably about 2 hours the other day, very, very worried. And I think the moral of this is, never do something unless you 100% fully understand every single little thing that could happen. I knew that this could happen, but I thought it only happened around the expiry, like maybe a day before or the day of. I never thought that it would happen like a month before. And upon researching it more, I found out, it can happen, but it normally happens less than 1% of the time. But it's still something that I should have been aware of. So, just wanted to share and go into it. Brian, did you look at Beyond Meat? Did you look at the options? How do they look?
I've been I apologize. Yes, I have been typing a bit in the chat room, but Marat and Joshua are currently in the level 3, and they're like, "What the hell's going on here?" So I just wanted to explain that yes, we do cover introduction to spreads. We'll give you a nice matrix and a nice cheat sheet that you can print out and put on your wall to understand the mechanics of this. No doubt about it, very complex. If anything, guys, when we used to have an old expression that you get what you pay for in the market, and people really like working with these discount brokerage houses because the commissions are so low. But here is a really, really good example where having a good working relationship with your broker, what I think should have happened here, and in days gone by when we had full service brokers, the broker should have seen what was happening and just simply offset the trade and closed out the other side automatically when Julian was exercised. But because we're living in this discount brokerage house world, he didn't get any help. So, this isn't a bad commentary that, if you are going down the route of doing complex strategies like, spreads and straddles and all that kind of fun stuff, sometimes it actually pays to work with a full service broker. Yeah, you're going to have to pay a little bit more in commissions, but at least they got your back. Julian had to learn the very hard way at probably about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning in Thailand that, holy shit, I got to get on top of this. So, way to go. And I've watched Julian haggle with PayPal now here for like months on end. It's incredible how patient Julian is working with these people. And he has the mentality to be able to sit on hold for an hour or two and just patiently wait and get the problem resolved. Someone like me, I probably would have blown up halfway through the exercise. So congratulations on keeping a cool head through all that. But also too, and I asked Murat if you're going to do the write-up here. I think this is a really good conversation. If people are on the site and they want to sort of search, past daily briefs, if you could put like butterfly spread or, like I did that sort of the number sign and then the name letter, so that if people do want to access conversation that we've had about spread trading and options, I think this is a great reference. Just to sort of dovetail, I didn't get to the point of looking at the forwards contracts, but I do completely understand what the options boys sort of motivation is here. Kind of like what we were talking about, Max Payne with SPY, QQQ, same sort of thing here. This is the June contract that's going to expire tomorrow. And you can see the heaviest open interest is in this 160 strike. So we go look at the stock price, and what a coincidence. It's sitting there at 165. My hunch is probably into expiry tomorrow. They're going to want to settle it right around 160 there. Interesting too, this is a nice 3-bar fractal here that might fire, suggesting Empire top. So I can understand why people are interested on the short side. Didn't really get a chance to look at any of the deferred contracts. And when I look out over time, I don't really see anything that jumps out at me. Looking at the leaps, right? This is where sort of the institutional players will take their positions. These are the January 2020s. And I noticed here up in sort of above sort of 160, you can see there's just not that much interest on the put side. So where can we sort of assume that Wall Street is trying to establish floors? We can see $35. $50, 180, or excuse me, $80. And then you see that the open interest just thins right out. So the irony of all of this is I don't think the stock can really stay up here. I don't think Wall Street expects. You can see there's some pretty big call positions written on that 160 all the way out into January. So kind of like the way Bitcoin ran up to 20 G's and then came right back down to earth. I think you're probably going to see the same sort of scenario here on this Beyond Meat. And you can see that there are ceilings being established here at 160 on the call side. So it looks to me like people are locking in positions. If we maybe just look at something like a September series to try and get an idea of where the big boys are positioning themselves. Same sort of thing, up in this nosebleed territory, you can see there's just not that much interest on the put side. There are a few contracts being written on the call side here. So my hunch is, there is that 160 level there. You can see there's building resistance, if you will, on the stock here that, just like we showed you on those leaps, there are people stepping up and writing some serious options. These are relatively small numbers. And I don't see any incentive for Wall Street to keep the stock up top here. There's just no interest in the puts whatsoever. So, that's about all that I can add to the conversation in the short term. I don't know. Does that help at all, Julian?
I was mostly curious if you saw that the options were way too expensive for you at like the 100 area. I think they are way too expensive, probably.
Well, good old TRI SOF kind of thinking. I would prefer to hunt for at least 6 months at a time. January 2020s, we're sort of on the sort of the cusp of acceptability. So if we just take a quick boo at the stock, I'm not quite sure what 50% rules are here.
50% is at 124.
All right, so if I just go boobity boo, 122.5. Just taking a look at TRI SOF, kind of thinking maybe like a 140 put or something. This is the January expiry at 122. Those would be worth $20. And right now they're trading at $40. So not even remotely interested from my perspective. A lot of volatility, and my hunch is that Wall Street kind of very similar to the Bitcoin trade. I think Wall Street really has no interest whatsoever in the stock being up top here come the fall, and they'll probably bring it back down. But is there a trade that's developing for us? What would actually have to happen for I would imagine, I don't think it shows here, but I would okay, here's implied volatility right here, IV. So I would imagine the implied volatility is extremely high. Yeah, 1.11. That's a staggeringly high implied volatility. So for a guy like me to actually be interested in this trade, I would actually have to see the stock just calm down and that implied volatility come out of price. Right now, seeing this kind of price action, the option boys are going, there's no way I'm going to sell you these put options cheap. If you want a put option, you're going to have to pay up. And the interesting thing is you can actually see, remember we said those 140s are $40. I think you can see the street thinks that this thing, I think Grim even said that big old gap at Mountain Man. There is Mountain Man. There's that gap. And that 140 put will be worth $40 at the target. So there's no profit in the trade to be done. So a little too volatile for me to even be the slightest bit interested in a TRI SOF. So
yeah, that's why I was looking at butterfly spreads, because that takes out the whole IV issue.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, it's also, this is a good commentary too, that when these stocks come right out of the gate like this, the implied volatilities can just be absolutely insane. Yeah, the thing moves around. And if you can build strategies to capture that implied volatility, not a bad idea, i.e. Julian spreads. And just an FYI for the site, keep in mind we're supposed to be in our developer cycle here. We're working feverishly on getting this website up to sort of production quality and all the different projects and stuff on the go simultaneously. We do plan on offering option spreads modules. It's just a question of when do we get time to get to it. So it is coming down the pike, but it's not available right now. And frankly speaking, I think we ought to just cool our jets, go very, very slowly. If anything, like that General Electric trade, that was just a simple long option strategy trade. Just paper trade these for the time being. And as we build out those spreads modules, we'll give you more instruction on how to trade this stuff. Okay, I think Alex was telling us that we should probably head on over and maybe take a look at some crypto now. What do you think? Do you feel like talking crypto here?
I was going to talk about a couple other things, but
no, that's fine. This is your day, so you go at your.
Well, I was going to touch base on the CenturyLink thing. Still rallying. Looks pretty good, but it looks like it's getting. We just touched the top of my Keltner channel. So I'm debating if I want to.
There was a gap fill there too, so I'm kind of looking for this thing to go sideways a bit here.
Yeah, so I was thinking about selling my calls that I have, and then I was gonna buy them back later. So but it did pretty well. I think I did made how much did I make? Let me see. I'm up 30%, a little bit less than 30%.
All right. Well, it's better than
So
kicking.
not bad, not a bad profit to book. Also, somebody was talking about this Riot blockchain name. This is like a semi move into crypto. It broke out here, and I took a little bit of a trade. I bought some here at around 260. I'm not surprised by this retracement here that we're getting, and I'm watching it. And if it breaks down, I'll probably exit. If it breaks this 245 level, I'll probably get out of the trade. But right now, I'm holding long on it because I like the levels. So that was a trade I just wanted to touch on really quick. It's not nearly as nice as that CTL trade, but somebody mentioned it in the lounge, and I thought it didn't look too bad. I also like the zone that we're in. It's like a nice reload zone area, so it appealed to me, and I bought some long shares. Boeing took off. I think I talked about this before, how it looked like a nice trade, and it has finally taken off here. I think it's a little late to get in this trade at this point, but it did look nice last week. And you can see how it paused. It went right over the Keltner channel, and now it's pausing in here. We'll see what happens next. It could go higher. It could retrace, back down to like 360, and then eventually move higher. We'll see. I don't have a trade there, but I wanted to touch on it. Do you want me to do anything with currencies, or just skip right into Bitcoin because we're kind of running out of time?
Up to you, Chief. Whatever you feel like. I don't think we're in a huge hurry here.
Okay, so TIBOT dropped off a cliff. I've lost more purchasing power in Thailand. Boo-hoo. I'm probably gonna cry a little bit tonight. I haven't seen this yet. This is absolutely horrible. It's never gone. Has it ever been this low? It hasn't been this low since 2013. Oh, what a time to be living in Thailand. It would have been nice back here in January. Oh, okay. So TIBOT, yeah, right. TIBOT's rallying, and the US dollar is heading down in comparison. Now, the question is, does this have more to do with the TIBOT rallying, or does it have to do with, if we change this to DXY, the dollar dropping off a cliff? It looks like, let's change this to a daily. It looks like it more so has to do with the dollar just dropping than the TIBOT rallying, since here's, if we look at the DXY, and then let's look at this. No, let's look at the TIBOT. You can see there's a much, I think we're getting it's somewhat similar, but I think we're getting a rally in the TIBOT while we're simultaneously getting a drop in the US dollar. So it's like a double whammy here. Ouch, this really hurts. So how much? Well, I guess it's, there's not much more to say about that. For anybody in Thailand, I feel your pain if you're holding US dollars. I wanna just look at it really quick first, like the Canadian dollar. Yeah, it didn't move that much. You can see how it's kind of the same, and even versus like the euro. Oh, it's dropped off. It's rallied versus the euro. Okay, let's check the Chinese yuan. I just want to see, with all the trade war stuff going on. Okay, so it's reversing now because the US dollar dropped as well. So because the US dollar dropped, it looks like the Chinese yuan is rallying a little bit now. We broke out of this. Did we break out of this downtrend here? Yeah, we did. So now we broke through, and so now the yuan should maybe rally a bit. Maybe we'll come back down to this level, probably where my Keltner channel is, somewhere in here, this 6.775 level area. Well, interesting. Just to touch on it really quick, look at it. Without further ado, let's jump into Bitcoin. I don't want to take too much time on those. Okay, so Bitcoin, 4-hour chart. I looked at the daily chart, but I didn't see a whole lot. I just kind of see it in an uptrend. So I wanted to go to the 4-hour because on the daily, it just doesn't give a clear enough picture. On the 4-hour, you can see how we tested support on my RSI channel. And we had like a little bit of a downtrend developing. You can see here, this little downtrend, but it quickly broke out and now it's moving higher. But we have a 9 here, kind of putting a pause. But we didn't really get much of a rally, so I don't know how much this 9 matters. I am I'm leaning towards Bitcoin's going to go higher. I'm expecting a move up to this 50% level at 97, so somewhere between 97 and 10,000. I would bet that it's going to go there. That's where I feel like it's going to go. Will it actually happen? I'm not sure. I want to like do a little, this is like a really terrible ABCD, but I want to see really quick where it takes us. 10,080. Doesn't look like it's useful. I expect us to go higher. I'll be surprised if we go down from here. Everything's pointing to just up. You know, we're in a bullish trend, and the 4-hour RSI hasn't broken down at all. It actually consolidated and then broke out of the consolidation. Here was our first move higher, and then the next one could happen any minute now, unless something breaks down here. But I don't expect it to happen. We're gonna look at the alt index in a little bit, Raf. I looked at it earlier and it looked like crap, to be honest. But that doesn't surprise me because it's kind of compared to Bitcoin.
Well, also too,
Ryan,
we got the hammer that could potentially drop here tomorrow. So I could actually
We've got the what?
The big regulatory announcement, isn't that out tomorrow? Alex, you always know the proper name for this.
Yep, FATC. I don't know. I don't think it's really going to be that much of a hammer, but it could be, news-driven sell-offs. I don't think anything will be decided tomorrow, right? But it could just be another narrative for further sell-offs versus BTC.
Yeah. So what I was just thinking is it may not be like, you're all going to be executed for owning altcoins. It's probably going to be more just like FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt, which just sort of continues to incentivize people to liquidate altcoins and buy Bitcoin with those proceeds, right? And so that sort of supports your kind of thinking, Julian. It's not necessarily like Bitcoin's breaking down here. And like I put out a piece yesterday on Twitter, one of the level oneers showed me a chart, and he was trying to make the bullish case for altcoins, but I looked at the chart and I was like, I don't know. This is a total market cap divided by Bitcoin. So it sort of gives you an idea of who's sort of driving the bus. If we see W's in this, then it means alts are catching a bid. And if we see M's, of course, it means that Bitcoin's basically taking over. And I don't see any signs of altcoin bottoms yet here. So as a result, considering this fundamental that we have coming out here, I still think they're in sort of cleanup mode. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we look at your altcoin indexes, Julian, and they just look like poop. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yep. Here it is. Looks like poop.
That's it. I don't know whether I think that's actually a Wall Street analyst rating, if I'm not mistaken.
It definitely is. That's where I learned it. I went to Wall Street and I learned that term.
Yeah.
That was a $30,000 course.
On the curb, that's right. They won't say it on the floor of the exchange, but they'll say it outside in front.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This is speaking to sort of my interpretation of Chop Vegas kind of market right now. We're still in cleanup mode. I thought it was fascinating looking at this study that I put together that altcoins actually put in their ultimate bottom on Bitcoin through that fall of 2015. And that was sort of the big, I don't know whether you guys remember this, but there was a U.S. Marshal's Office auction of Bitcoins in November of 2015, which sort of marked the bottom. It actually, Bitcoin registered big weekly, monthly Ws, and that was the floor. But I find it fascinating that at the same time, the altcoins actually also bottomed as well. So, and also too, heading into the end of the year, we know about tax loss selling and all that kind of incentive to drive price. I'm thinking that, you know, there's just not a heck of a lot to get excited about in altcoins right now. And, you know, with these regulators and stuff, it could take like 6 months for the altcoin market to just sort of settle down, and we all, you know, deal with Trex and Binance, you know, delistings, relistings, all that kind of stuff. Just let the sort of sediment settle before we can actually start basing and start getting optimistic and talking about new projects and all that kind of stuff. That to me seems actually very realistic. So, I mean, other than the official poop statement, is there anything else you can add to this conversation about alts?
Nope.
Okay, well, that makes that pretty simple. All right. You know, I would just simply say, if you are interested in altcoins, the key here is, from my perspective, and maybe we'll use that grin as an example. Try and hunt ideas. If you are going to put your money to work here, try and hunt your ideas versus USD. I don't know whether it's a good idea, especially if Bitcoin has to run up to 10 Gs here. I don't know whether it's a good idea for you to actually get a realistic, a clear picture of whether your alt is actually half decent and investment worthy, measuring it versus Bitcoin. But I do think it's a good idea to try and frame your analysis of these alts versus USD. And if you see things like W's and you see Willie Stupid and you see divergences and you see pretty little W's in price, and then after the W comes in, let's see if we can zoom in here for you on this. After the, in fact, actually, I was even going through this with the level 3ers. We were talking about pro stop management. But, you know, and I noticed one student was sort of front running a lot of trades and not waiting for the W's to actually come in. I think in this kind of market, guys, it is critical that you have working W's in your price charts, or the odds of success start going down appreciably. So, you know, I think, if I can get this to cooperate, if we, you know, find W's in our assets versus USD, this happens to be Tether, you know, whatever your sort of preferred stable asset coin proxy is, we'll let those W's come in, wait for the reload zones. Indicators are all pointing bullish. All right, rock and roll. But unless you see it actually like beautifully telegraphed and really laid out, just be very cautious in altcoin land right now. Okay, everybody? Please, please, please. And of course, as Joshua says here, if you like the fundamental story, if it has a good sort of quant rating on these various sites that have algos about sentiment and project development and stuff, if they have half decent algo readings, there's nothing wrong with just implementing a nice little old lady nanny nibbles dollar cost averaging strategy, just to slowly slide yourself into these names over time. There's nothing wrong with that at all. The key there, though, is they better be good fundamental stories, right? Just as simple as that. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can't comment on the fundamentals of these stories. You know, like whenever I talk to these crypto people, I always keep my comments to just purely technical. But, you know, really good analogy here. Try not to just panic, FOMO buy right out of the gate. Let the market try and establish bottoms. You know, I think there was a cute little bottom that tried to come in here that failed Really good example of a trader's life. Don't lose your focus. Maybe you take some risk in here and you get stopped out. And then here comes the next bus, right? And then this one produces insane returns. That's a trader's life. Get used to it. If you want to, through this, we never really did get any sort of indicator confirmation. We didn't even really have enough data to work with to start spitting out MACD signals and stuff. You want to wait for everything to come in, give me some nice indicator confirmation with levels, then, not bad. But the point that I'm trying to make here, number one, if you are interested in investing in alts, I think it's really important that you analyze your asset versus USD or, euros or whatever sort of stable asset base. And then number two, don't try and fudge this, right? The setup has got to look pristine. The statistical odds of success right now are probably things like coin flips. And of course, if you are right, make damn sure that the asset pays you, right? Don't just okay, I got 20% return, I'm happy. I mean, make damn sure if you're playing these alts that you try and capture these big moves and make it worth your while. So, yeah, well, and that's a good point there, Raf. Nice D on the profile. I think is it a good idea to go and buy this asset up top here? No bloody way. But anybody at TRI looking at this, I don't think they would be even the slightest bit interested. Now, of course, where were you supposed to be interested? Right down here. So, this is a good sort of recent example of a coin that did rally. You could have made some good money on it, but I think you got to make sure to analyze it versus USD or Tether or USD coin or whatever. And your setup has got to look pristine. Willie Stupid, divs and momentum, buying pressure, big green bars, volume impetus. The bulls are coming out to play. Does that make sense? I think that basically makes sense, eh? Hopefully everybody's yep, that makes sense, Brian. Can I get some feedback here? All right, Joshua says it's value, so that's good. Okay, Julian, any closing thoughts?
I mean, I could talk about a couple coins that I bought. I have PIVX, and I have a chart showing in US dollars here on my screen.
All right, let's see what you got there.
Yeah, so you can see I just watched the RSI breakout, and then a MACD move to positive, and then I set a long bid down here at 0.57, and I got filled. And I've just been sitting in this, and now I'm watching to see if the RSI breaks down here, if it moves through this trend line. I have a divergence on MACD that I don't like seeing, and I also have a divergence here. So I'm debating if I want to exit the trade early or wait for this breakdown of the uptrend line here. So that's one example of a coin that I'm watching. I don't do little old lady. I just trade these like I trade stocks. I also own XLM. I'm in profit on that too. I just thought it's not a bad idea to touch on each of these. So XLM, if I go to I wanted to go to the 4 hour. Yeah, so here's the 4 hour I drew a while ago, something like that. And actually, I think I should have closed this one already, because you see how it's really rolled over. It was much higher even just 2 days ago or 3 days ago, and now it's really rolled over since then. And it's just sitting at support on my Keltner channel. And even on the RSI, it's rolled over completely if I draw a trend line. Here, it's broken down. But we have possibly a divergence forming on the MACD. So another one that I'm holding, just wanted to touch on, that's what I'm seeing. I have some NEO too, and I have OMG and NEO. Let's see. Yeah, NEO, major breakdown. I bet if I even go on the daily, it's really clear. Well, actually, it's not so clear. Something like that. Like that. No, it's just kind of in a triangle type formation. NEO, I'm at about a little bit above break even on this one. It's not too bad. I maybe want to get out of it and try to get a better entry down here at like $11. But it doesn't look too bad. I just like to touch on some of these individual ones to show that, even though it's good to look at the overall index, and I've said plenty of times I don't like looking at individual ones, I think it's not a bad idea sometimes to look at, 2 or 3 of the bigger names. For all the like little Schultz, I think it's a waste of time to look at every single little one. No offense to anyone. I prefer, and I think it's easier to look at like a Schultz index. And then once you see the Schultz index turning, then you go Schultz hunting and then you look at the individual ones. But until you see that index turning, you shouldn't touch it. But I think for like bigger names like NEO, XLM, OMG, Litecoin, stuff like that, it's not a bad idea to look at them individually. That's why I'm just kind of showing the ones that I have right now and what I'm looking at and what I'm doing. So for NEO, I'll probably hold it. It doesn't look too terrible from my perspective on the daily chart. Not great. I would love to see it, look a little bit more happy, but it doesn't look bad considering the current market state.
I do.
Really fast.
Just while you're loading that up, Joshua here, very active participant on the site. He created this Schultz FA index, which I think is sort of like fundamentally acceptable names. Interesting, even relative to Bitcoin, it's just going sideways here. And I don't even know whether this is your current list here, Joshua, but you can see he's got lists of assets that in the crypto space that he feels are fundamentally value. So maybe reach out to Joshua and ask him for that screened list. I don't know whether he's added any names to it, but frankly speaking, the larger sort of more fundamentally acceptable names, I'm actually thinking that they're probably just going to go sideways here. Like I noticed our altcoin account, it's just sat at like 50 grand and just hasn't done much. Bitcoin's going up in price, and the basket of cryptos are going down relative to Bitcoin, but the actual like dollar value of the account is just parked there at 50 G's. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're in that kind of environment. But what I would say, just to sort of dovetail with what Julian's saying here, I really do kind of like that grin idea that I just showed you. I think this really is a coin pickers market. So let's work together as a community. What are the names that are building and have good fundamental drivers going forward? Those are there will be bull markets. There's always a bull market somewhere. It's just a question of finding those good fundamental stories. So, that's my special challenge to the community. You guys are all, of course, insane crypto and computer experts. So let's work together. What are the hot drivers? What's sexy in the crypto community's eyes? And those are the names that we should be really concentrating on. So think coin pickers market. Okay, so we should probably wind this up. Julian, maybe closing comments on OMG, and then we'll hit the road.
It broke down on the RSI, but then the MACD has divergence. So I'm a little conflicted on this one. Maybe the RSI could bottom here, and then we turn around and break out. I don't know. I'm going to stay in my position. I'm not going to sell it. Okay. I'm an okay spot. Really, I was filled at a lower level, so...
That's looking at like a 4-hour chart, eh? Do you trade a lot of these off 4 hours?
I just check it when I don't see a lot on the daily. I prefer the daily, but like the daily just kind of looks like.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, what do you think? Shall we call it a day? Did we give these people some good value?
Sure, yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Julian. Awesome baby powder report as always. Trying to keep on time here. It's about 5 past the top of the hour. Alex and I'll head off and do a little summary. There's a nice little cough to send Julian on his way. So I guess the only thing left for us to say for the baby powder report is, Julian, this is your moment to shine.
Bye for now.